On a quiet, rainy evening in Chicago, an old man walked into Rosie's diner like he always did. Same grey coat, same worn-out hat, same corner table by the window. And every single night, he ate alone. Most customers barely noticed him anymore. Some thought he looked sad. Others assumed he just preferred silence. But Emma noticed. Emma was a 24-year-old waitress working double shifts to help pay her mother's medical bills. She had seen hundreds of customers come and go, but something about the old man stayed in her mind. He never used his phone, never spoke much, and before leaving every night, he would stare out the rain-covered window for a few extra seconds, like he was waiting for someone who never came. One evening, Emma carried over his usual order. Chicken soup and black coffee, right? The old man smiled softly. You remember. Of course I do, Emma laughed. You order the same thing every night. He nodded, but his smile faded quickly. As Emma turned to leave, she stopped herself. For weeks, one question had been sitting in her heart. Tonight, she finally asked it. Sir, if you don't mind me asking. The old man looked up. Why do you always eat alone? For a moment, the diner noise seemed to disappear. The old man stared at his coffee quietly. Emma instantly regretted asking. I'm sorry, she said quickly. You don't have to answer. But then he gave a small smile. No, he whispered. It's okay. He slowly reached into his wallet and pulled out an old photograph. A woman with bright eyes stood beside a little girl on a snowy street. That was my wife, Helen, he said gently, and my daughter, Sophie. Emma smiled softly. They're beautiful. The old man nodded. We used to come here every Friday night. Emma glanced around the diner. This diner? Yes, he said, 42 years ago. He chuckled quietly. Helen loved the soup here, said it tasted better on rainy nights. Emma listened carefully as the old man continued. After my wife passed away, Sophie kept coming with me. His voice began to crack slightly. But 6 years ago, my daughter moved overseas with her family. Emma's expression softened. You miss her? Every day. He looked down at the photo again. She calls sometimes, sends birthday cards, but life gets busy. The old man forced another smile. I suppose that's how the world works now. Emma didn't know what to say. Because suddenly, the lonely old man in the corner wasn't just another customer anymore. He was a father, a husband, a man carrying decades of memories alone. Before leaving that night, the old man carefully folded the photo and stood up slowly. Then he surprised Emma. Thank you. For what? She asked. For asking. Emma looked confused. He smiled sadly. You're the first person in years who wanted to know why I sit here alone. And with that, he walked out into the rain. Emma stood frozen near the counter long after he left. That night, she couldn't stop thinking about him. The next evening, she arrived early to work. And before the old man entered the diner, she placed something on his usual table. A small handwritten sign, reserved for friends. When the old man walked in and saw it, he stopped completely. His eyes filled with tears almost instantly. Emma smiled nervously. I figured nobody should have to eat alone every night. For a second, the old man couldn't speak. Then he sat down slowly and laughed through his tears. You know, he whispered, my wife would have liked you. From that night on, things began to change. Emma would sit with him during her breaks. Sometimes they talked about movies. Sometimes about old Chicago winters. Sometimes about Helen. And, little by little, other customers started joining in too. One night, a truck driver bought him dessert. Another night, a college student sat beside him just to hear his stories. The lonely table near the window slowly became the warmest corner of the diner. Then one snowy evening, the old man didn't come. Emma kept glancing at the door all night, but he never appeared. The next evening, still nothing. By the third day, Emma became worried. Then the diner owner handed her an envelope. "A man dropped this off for you." Emma opened it carefully. Inside was the old photograph and a handwritten note. "Dear Emma, thank you for reminding me that I was still seen. After losing so many people, I forgot what kindness felt like. You turned my lonely dinners into something I looked forward to again. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel invisible. With gratitude, Walter." Emma wiped tears from her eyes. Weeks later, she learned Walter had moved to live with his daughter overseas. But every Friday night, Emma still places a small sign on that corner table, reserved for friends. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe for more emotional stories like Thithis.